So what is a SWOT analysis? A SWOT analysis is something that you do in your company when you're trying to problem solve. You're trying to come up with what are a list of potential projects we can do, kind of what's our next step. It's a great activity to do when brainstorming. When you're sitting down with a group, a team, a company. So many different reasons you can do it, and it is a really, really good activity to do because it's an opportunity to see what other people are thinking. So the point of the SWOT analysis is to basically, it's a way to problem solve, a way to look and move forward with things. It's a way to really take what everyone's thinking, what everyone has, and come up with next steps. So let's take a look at what the SWOT analysis is. So SWOT analysis, SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So strengths are, what do we do well? What do we do well as an organization? What do we do well as a group? What does our team do well? What are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? What kind of things are holding us back? What aren't we doing well? What are things we can improve on? And then opportunities are, what can we take advantage of? Like, what can we do as a team? What can we do as a group that we're not doing that could help us? What kind of things can we do in the future? What can we do in the next year, the next 5 years? What's our plan? And then threats are, what are our threats to success? Is there competition out there? What kind of things threaten us from doing a good job, from doing well, from being the best? So I have up on my screen, and for those listening and via podcast, I'll just kind of read it, but I have an example SWOT analysis. And you're really just going through and trying to figure out, like, what do we do well and kind of what's holding us back. It's a great way to start coming up with, what can we do? So how do you do the SWOT analysis? How do you do this? Do you just sit down and brainstorm? Basically, yeah. You kind of sit down, you write, you can put it in a square the way I have it up on the screen. But basically, you take big pieces of paper, you take... however your team wants to do it. You can do it via the computer, however you want to do it. And you come up with a goal or a few goals. You come up with your goal, and then you go through strengths, opportunities, threats, weaknesses to that goal. So, for example, I have here up on the screen my goal. I'm thinking a small instructional design company, their goal is to obtain new clients in 2019. And then I put some sample things here for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So the first thing that you'll notice is both strengths and weaknesses are things that are internal to the company, internal things. And then opportunities and threats are both external, like outside our company, maybe outside of our control to an extent. And then strengths and opportunities are both positive things for us, and negative things are weaknesses and threats. So we're kind of looking at it, almost in this chart, which is why I have it in a square so that you can kind of see what's positive, what's negative, what's internal, what's external. So my goal is to obtain new clients in 2019. And this is all pretend. I just made this up just to kind of show you as an example. So I take a small instructional design company of, 5 to 8 people working there. Their goal is to obtain new clients in 2018. So what are some of their strengths? I have written down that their strengths are they are experienced instructional designers. They have in-house narration, which is big for a small company because narration is very expensive. And they've done multiple successful projects. And I'm sure I could come up with a bunch more, but this is just a quick example. All right, so those are their strengths. So that's the S part of SWOT. So weaknesses, W. Weaknesses, they only have 5 instructional designers, which means they can only work on, a few projects at a time. They have no graphic artist or programmer, which means right now they're off-sourcing, and that could always cause a company to run into trouble. And they have no in-house video solution. And video is very, very expensive, and a lot of clients want video. So those are a few of their weaknesses. Okay, so what are their opportunities? Their opportunities are, what can they do? They have a plan. They'd really like to add in an in-house video studio because they have this studio where they're doing narration. They'd like to add in-house video. Okay, that's great. That's a good opportunity. And you want to get more detailed and have a kind of a plan for that, but that's a good idea, a good start. Okay, and another opportunity is they think that they might be able to partner with a few boutique companies who maybe do like graphics or something like that. Or maybe that's their video idea. But those are some opportunities that they've suggested as things they could possibly do. All right, so what are some of the threats? What are some threats that they currently identify? And one, they just have one listed here, which is that some larger companies have been taking on some of the smaller projects that they're competing with, which is obviously a threat, and that can hurt a small company, you know. So they've identified these things, and the next step is really, so first of all, the point of the SWOT analysis is they've now gotten everyone's feedback. Because I could look at this maybe if I worked for that company, and I could say, oh yeah, I could have come up with this in 1 second, but maybe not. Maybe that they have all their 8 people sitting together in a circle, they're brainstorming and pulling what everyone thinks. So does everyone agree that these are the weaknesses? And maybe there's something you haven't thought of that, you know, you're just not seeing. So it's always good to get that information from everyone else. And then from here, okay, so we looked at our goal. How do we obtain new clients? We know our strengths, we know our weaknesses, we know some opportunities, we know some threats. Let's set up an action plan to actually move forward with this goal. So how do we do that? You start looking at what you've come up with and you move on. You come up with an actual projects and say, this is what we're going to do. You maybe divide up work, you maybe take on different things, and you actually work towards the goal now that you've identified this. But it's a really great starting point, a really great brainstorming activity to go through with your team, group, company, etc. But that's a SWOT analysis. Thank you.